G'day guys, it's Jeff here from BikeReview.com.au. Beautiful sunshine as you can see, but unfortunately here in Greater Sydney, yep, we're still in lockdown. Fortunately, I'm allowed to get out and have a ride when I have to. I'm only doing it when I really have to. I can test bikes, obviously recreation around my place, 10 k's from home, or I can go on a bigger ride like I am today with Tim. And we're having a bit of fun out testing the LiveWire, doing a bit of a range test. And Tim just had a go on his first ever electric bike, which you'll see in the footage here. I rode his GSXR 1000 and I forgot how awesome the Gixxers are. And it's been pretty interesting. Tim reckons it's pretty refined. He was surprised at how quick it was. He did notice the weight straight away, whereas I kind of don't. I guess because I've been riding a lot of heavy bikes lately, and Tim generally rides 1000 sports bikes. But yeah, really impressed, smooth throttle, and like everyone that's ridden it so far, they want to hate it, but they don't. Another mate of mine, Phil, who painted my RG and my RM, he jumped on it the other day and he wanted to hate it, and he took it for a spin for about half an hour, came back and he was completely sold. He said he'd happily own one as well. So, you know, they've done a really good job, and if this is the beginning of electric bikes, then we've got some exciting times ahead. So I've had this for 10 weeks. It was a period I didn't have it for 3 weeks. Simon Harris had it. So if you click on this link here, you can read his article on his experience on living with the LiveWire for a while. Simon also went to the Australian launch for me. So that's why I got the bike back to him for a longer ride, and he rode it to work, and he came up here to the old road on it and all that kind of stuff. He had a really good time on it. The range situation is what I've been really trying to work out. For example, today I left home with 100%. I rode it on eco mode all the way down to here. It was 54 kilometers, and I still had 70% remaining. And then for some video passes that Tim filmed for me, I fanged it up and down the corner about 4 or 5 times, and I chewed through 10%. Now, also lucky on eco mode, on the certain dash display, you can see how much regen you're getting, how much throttle position you're using, and that's when I've noticed I can get 2 kilometers per 1% of battery charge. But as soon as I start riding it like a normal bike, you're looking at 1 kilometer per 1%. Now, from 100%, you're only going to get 100 kilometers. When you hop on it, it says you've got a range of 180 kilometers with 100% charge. So that will only be in eco mode, riding carefully with a gentle throttle hand and trying to use some regen every time you can, because it all adds up. But it is possible. But even still, I mean, I left my place, I've done a 50k ride up here, fanged up and down my favourite twisties, stopped for a bit of a chat and a break, then we get to ride all the way back, and I've still got a range here saying I've got 100 kilometers. So I mean, you can have a really good outing on the bike. You can go out for a couple of hours with your mates, stop for a break, have a chat, and then go home. I mean, if you want to do big day riding, then you need to stick to petrol for now. I've changed the suspension a little bit since I've had the bike, only a small amount. I've added some front compression and a little bit of preload on the front, and that's it, just to give it a little bit more support, but it's still very plush, but well supported, but that's how I like it. On the rear, I've taken some compression off, high and low speed, and added a little bit of spring because I want it to be sitting a bit more on that spring, and it's taken those jolts and shocks away that it had. haven't found any disadvantages at all having electric throughout this 10-week period so far. I haven't started my bike once. The only petrol bikes I've ridden are test bikes like the Hayabusa ZX14 and a few others. But my day-to-day riding, my running around, everything I've been doing has been on this, and it hasn't been that hard for me because I always make sure I'm not going so far I need to charge it yet. I can't go into Sydney, so I can't try a day out on it charging at a fast charging station yet because I'm locked out of there. But you know, every time it's at home, it's plugged in. I never leave it off the charge because you'd never know when you're going to need the bike, and why not have 100% charge every time you get on it. I'm really impressed with it overall. The riding position's good, it's comfortable. I'm 187 centimeters tall. The seat's a little bit firm, but you can't ride it long enough to get too uncomfortable anyway. I don't like the grips. I'd like to ditch the grips and put proper sports bike or naked bike grips on it. These are like Harley cruising grips. The levers are too chunky for me. They're off like Harley cruisers. It needs some naked bike style or sports bike levers on it. It would be nice if it had a radial pull master cylinder to go with those brakes, but they are super good. I mean, the brakes are fantastic. The engine braking's excellent from the regen. So through your local twisties, if you crank up the regen, you're hardly even using the front brake till you really start to push it, and you get the advantage of having a bit of extra battery charge. The only thing is about the regen is when you roll off into the corners and it really uses that engine braking, it tends to push the front. So it takes a little bit to get used to that. You've got to pick up the throttle to kind of balance the bike out a bit and get it through a corner. I also had a situation today which I hadn't had yet, following Tim into a corner, and it was just an automatic reaction. We came out of a right, flipped it into a left, and I blipped the throttle and went to change down a gear. So I actually grabbed an imaginary clutch. I went like that with my foot and blipped the throttle. So all that happened was I shot forward about 2 meters, which lucky was a 2-lane road, and there were 2 southbound lanes, and I went over to the right lane, then peeled it into the corner and got around the corner. So I had another situation on it last time I was up here as well. I got into a corner I know very, very well, and I got into it too hot, and I ended up on all the electronics, on the brakes, front and rear as hard as possible, and just doing one of these like that, and I just, knowing it's got the IMU and the cornering ABS, I just chucked it on its foot peg and got through the corner. And if I was on anything else without that level of technology, with the cornering ABS and the stability control, I possibly wouldn't have got through that corner. To explain that mistake, it's just that I'm still struggling to understand when to open the throttle and how to feel the grip of the tyres and stuff like that with that throttle. I guess I'm used to anticipating to open a throttle just before an apex on a given engine, knowing it's about to come into its power right when you want it to, say 5-10 meters later, and then you can feel that power building up, and you can feel it going through your body and your back tyre, and you know that tyre starts to bite, and then you give it more throttle off a corner. And I guess that's, and then you got the sound of that bike coming on the pipe, and you got your gears and your revs and your vibration. You can feel everything, and this you can't. And every time you open the throttle, you've got 100% of available torque. It's available from 0 RPM. So every time you open the throttle, you just got full power. So you screw it on gently, where you would normally do it on a 4-stroke or 2-stroke, let's say 4-stroke 1000, and you going way quicker, very quickly. You have grip because of the electronics, and then you can't hear anything. You don't have time to look at your speed, and you arrive at the next corner going 5-10 k's quicker than you normally would be, that you could sense on a petrol bike. But that's the only disadvantage I've found so far. That's the throttle feel. I didn't realise how much information I was getting from my ears, from the vibrations and just hearing an engine, and how in tune you are with it at sensing your speed, your entry speed to a corner and your exit speed. Because when that's taken away, all you really have is a speedo and your vision, and there's a whole element missing. So yeah, that's interesting. I don't think I could ride it at any quicker than about 7 or 8 tenths without getting into a bit of trouble. Yeah, that's about it. Acceleration's phenomenal. All the modes are great. I've ridden it in the rain. I've ridden it in the dry. I haven't had any issues with the traction control. It's been really good. I've worked out how to get almost the most miles out of it. Obviously, you go straight on a straight road, it just chews up the juice straight away. So yeah, totally no good on constant throttle, on freeways or anything like that. But it is what it is. So if you want to get one of these, if you can afford it, this will be the only electric Harley I think we'll see for a very long time, and certainly the first one with Harley written on the battery charger plug cover. It's not a tank. But yeah, overall fantastic. We'll give you another update in about 3 or 4 weeks before we hand it back. Take it easy. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Have an awesome day. See you later.